Good morning, everyone. My name is Tessy RUSAGARA, and I lead Kigali Innovation City. As we all walked or drove here this morning, we passed the special economic zone. This was put in place to drive manufacturing in Rwanda and was launched about 6 years ago. And since then, it's attracted over 70 companies, both domestic and international. It's created multiple jobs and also contributed to growing our export base. It's now moving to phase 2. Kigali Innovation City is part of phase 2. Kigali Innovation City will be a cluster of educational institutions, so Carnegie Mellon, AIMS, Africa Leadership University, the University of Rwanda School of Biomedical Engineering, and more. It will include technology-oriented and innovative companies and startups, as well as some of the key enablers such as your accelerators, your incubators, and your venture capital. And why are we doing this? When you talk about building a knowledge-based economy, you need innovation. And why now? If we want to become an upper middle income country, if we want to transform lives, we need innovation to leapfrog. And innovation is multiple things. It's the mindset change that the minister spoke about. It's the methods and tools that we're using. And it's also applying new ideas and a different way of thinking to the problems that we're facing. It means creating value so that you can create opportunities and address the challenges that we're facing. But when we talk about Kigali Innovation City, many people see the physical space. Innovation is more than real estate. It's about the ecosystem of partners. And when we define this ecosystem, this includes all of you, our universities, our private sector, our entrepreneurs, capital, so our banks, venture capital, and so on. And lastly, the government. And it's not enough to have everyone in place. We need more than that. We need to connect. We need to collaborate, and we need to catalyze these solutions and these innovations. On connecting, often you find ourselves operating in silos. And we know that all these institutions that we're a part of, we don't have all the resources we need, we don't have all the capabilities that we need in-house. So we really need to work together. We need to collaborate to find solutions that work for us. Private sector and government need to engage startups and universities and vice versa. I like the example Alex gave about how the RDF is engaging young innovators in research and development. RISA is also doing that using hackathons to disrupt how we do public procurement and giving young innovators a chance to participate in digitizing government and providing their solutions. We need more of these. These create win-win create win-win opportunities. They allow the private sector and government to get capabilities that they need very quickly, but they also allow us to build capacity within our young innovators. So with all this, how does KIC add value? You have the physical space. Once we start to put in what we need within the ecosystem, what does that mean for young people in Rwanda today? The first thing is talent. We're grooming both undergraduate and graduate talent with the universities that we're attracting. The second is jobs. The companies that we're nurturing, the companies that we're attracting, whether they're more established, whether they're startups, they're all going to lead to job creation in Rwanda. And the last is a supportive environment for people who have creative ideas that they want to incubate and that they want to scale to address the challenges that we're facing. So how do we take advantage of this? How do we make sure that we are prepared to take advantage of what Kigali Innovation City has to offer? I gave the example of the special economic zone because it shows what is possible in 6 years. And it gives you a sense of the possibilities in Rwanda and what is to come. So there are 3 things we need to think about. One, as young people, how do we build the capacity to innovate? How do we make sure we have the right skills? I think before, in the past, if you learned a skill, it would take you through your career. Today, your career is a lifelong journey. There's, I think, an example I was reading the other day was about, audit firms now require the entry-level people to learn data science. It's not just about accounting anymore. If you look at innovation, even more broadly, a lot of times people think of it as technology and as STEM, but it's actually very multidisciplinary. We need the arts, we need design, we need people with business management skills. We also need the soft skills to drive this. And the reality is that in the world that we live in today, things are constantly changing, that what you might start with in university, what you might start with when you start your career, those types of skills, they might change in 5 years. They might change in terms of how important and critical they are. So we need to constantly challenge ourselves to keep building new skills. As the minister spoke about, when she spoke about how are we creating content and not just consuming, how do you use the content that's available online and information that you have to make sure you're building skills that we need not just today but for the future? The second is we need to create a mindset for innovation. We need to make sure we're problem solvers. Ask ourselves, what problems are we solving? Why are we solving them? And who are we solving them for? I was reading about a fintech entrepreneur in East Africa, and he talked about how he conducted over 600 interviews before he launched his startup. 600 interviews is about 4 months worth of work before he launched his startup. There are no shortcuts when it comes to innovation. If we want to build products that are feasible, if we want to build products that are commercially viable and that are desirable to the end users, we can't take shortcuts. And lastly, we need to think about how do we build Rwandan products that are made for the world, products that are made to scale. One of the unique strengths we have in Rwanda is that we've proven that we're a proof of concept destination. We can be a testing bed for innovations, and innovations that can scale across the world.